Hello, Leos, and welcome to this, your June 1st through June 15th Read Again predictions. This is a general reading intended for anybody born under the sign of Leo, as well as anybody else who happens to have a lot of Leo in their charts. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for continuing to support my channel. You will notice I am still in the same location. I am in my cousin John's man cave in Medicine Hat. And in fact, I may still even be wearing the same sweater I was wearing last time I did a recording for you, because I'm recording this in the morning. And yeah, the mornings here are still pretty darn chilly, something I'm not used to. For those of you who are new here, a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. I work with a number of different tarot decks as well as oracle card decks. I do pull all of the cards first. I leave them all sitting face down, and then I get on with the reading. So let's get started, Leo. One other thing I want to note for all of you Leos out here. In the course of recording much of the other zodiac signs for the June 1st through June 15th, a couple of your cards came up on more than one or two occasions, indicating that there's a lot of Leo energy out there right now at this time. And in fact, I believe that I recommended that some of the other zodiac signs even reach out to you at this time, Leo, to act as mentor or confidant, or for them to ask you for some advice or guidance. Just wanted to let you know that that's come up in some of the other zodiac readings. So don't be surprised if you get asked for advice from someone this month. Okay, Leo. First cards we're going to pull is where you're at now, here at the end of May as I record this video. What's influencing you? This will kind of set the tone for where you're going further into June. Okay, wow. That was a lot of cards that all came out all at once. All right, we're just going to set these off to the side. We're going to leave them face down so that I cannot be unduly influenced and jump ahead. The next card that we're going to pull for you, Leo, is going to be what you are focusing on. What are the Leos focusing on at this time? Is there anything else? Anything else? For the Leos, early to mid-June. Almost there. And that's the end. Okay. All right. The next card that we're going to pull for you, Leo, is going to be a card of difficult influences. Cards of difficult influence. What can I say about them? Sometimes they're surprising. Sometimes they're really positive cards, which means that you're just bumping up against something at this time. Cards of difficult influence for the Leos for early to mid-June. Difficult influences. Anything else? Oh, Leo, it looks like you only have one little thing niggling below the surface at this time. We'll check out and see what that energy is in just a moment. The next card that we're going to pull for you is a card that just makes sense. Now, the cards that just make sense have one of two purposes. Either they tie the rest of your reading together and make it all make sense, or they have the identical meaning of another card somewhere in your reading, thus giving you that double reinforcement that the energy or the intention behind that card is really important. All right. This makes sense for the Leos at this time. What makes sense? Okay. We are going to make sure that these cards are upside down so that I can't see them. Next cards that we're going to pull are cards that are unexpected. Going back over here to the traditional tarot. Unexpected. What is unexpected for the Leos? Unexpected. early to mid-June. I still can't believe I'm saying June. I really can't. It's kind of flooring me. Can't believe we're almost 6 months into 2023 already. Nope, that card went back in. Okay. All right. And finally, the final cards that we're going to pull for you, Leo, are going to be cards of your general overall outcome. These are the cards that predict or project the furthest into the future. What we're going to look at is where you're going to be at come mid-June, right in around the 15th. Getting called back over here to the fairy deck as we begin. So shall we end? All right. Okay. General overall outcome for the Leos. Oh, gee. Okay. All right. That one was the last one to come out. Then this one. That one. Nope. This one was the first, second, third, fourth card. And then there was one card that kind of looked like it wanted to jump out. So I'm going to leave it off to the side for you, Leo. We may pull it in as a clarification right at the end. Okay. So, wow. You have 2 Pentacle cards, also known as the Autumn cards, and you have 3 swords here. Pentacles typically refer to things that are earthbound, money, job, those kinds of things. And the swords or the winter cards typically refer to what's going on in your mind mentally, what you've got stirred up. I have to tell you, Leo, that at first glance, what's coming up here for where you are at now here at the end of May going into June doesn't look particularly positive, at least not at the outset. Hopefully that will turn around, but having 2 Pentacles and 3 swords here and just the actual numbers that have come up are indicating that you're kind of in a bit of a rough patch right now. The Prince of Autumn coming out is telling us that you need to be really, really wise in your actions right now. You need to be paying attention to the details, being meticulous, making sure that anything that you might be entering into, a contract or any kind of agreement, make sure that you are really, really paying attention to things right now, Leo. Why? Well, you've got this 5 of Autumn coming in as well. The 5 of Autumn indicates poor timing for changes with regards to your money situation or your career situation. You've got the 8 of Winter, the 8 of Swords, and the 8 of Swords is a card that in the traditional tarot, the figure on the card is bound and blindfolded and surrounded by swords that are stuck into the ground, thus giving the impression that the person is trapped. This card has a similar meaning. You'll notice here that the fairy is out floating on maybe an iceberg or something out in the middle of a pond here and really has no way of getting back to shore unless they do it themselves. And that's really the message of the 8 of Swords or the 8 of Winter, that when we feel like we are trapped in a situation, the reality is that we have likely trapped ourselves because, as I mentioned at the beginning, the Suit of Swords is about being caught up in our minds. When we're caught up in our minds, particularly with the 8 of Swords coming out, it means that we are going over and over and over and over things in our minds instead of actually, being like the Suit of Wands and taking action and getting out of that stuck feeling. You have the Four of Winter. The Four of Winter, also known as the Four of Swords, is a card of kind of withdrawal. Like you'll notice here that the fairy on this card has gone inside their little hole in the tree in order to have a little bit of a nap. It's about setting aside your concerns. Now, it makes sense. If you've got this Eight of Swords coming up, Eight of Winter coming up, wherein you're going over and over again something in your mind, thus making you feel trapped, it makes sense that the Four of Winter would be next to it, wherein you're being called upon, hey, take a step back, maybe meditate on this, slow the mind down and figure it out. Why do you need to do this? Because you have the Ace of Winter here, also known as the Ace of Swords. This is a card of new beginnings. So there is a silver lining to this kind of rough start that you have in your reading here. Just going to put these back in order. This is indicating that you might be experiencing a little bit of a rough time, a little bit of indecision, not really sensing where your direction should go. The 8 here, the 5 of autumn as well is indicating that you're, you may have to ask for help with this 5 of autumn coming up. But the Ace of Winter coming in as the last card here in your here now is an indication that there is a new beginning. There is a silver lining coming up for you. You might have to work rather hard for it. This is not an ace of easy beginnings. This is an ace of you're going to have to work for it, but ultimately it's a new beginning, and thus positive things can ultimately come out of this. What you are focusing on. So this makes sense. If you're experiencing a bit of a rough go here, it makes sense that what you would be focusing on is creating your own future, creating a new and better future. This card is the #1 card in the major arcana of the traditional tarot. This is the card that is the equivalent to the Magician. It's all about your existence, about your creation and your ability to create what you want. It's about you being the magician in your own space, on your own plane, in your own mind. And it's about you being able to create your own existence. The other card that you have here that you are focusing on is the 10 of Pentacles, also known as the 10 of Rainbows in this particular deck. This is a good sign as well. This card is a natural progression from, where'd it go? From this one, okay? If we begin with an Ace of Swords, we're caught up in our mind, but we know if we put hard work in, ultimately, we can achieve a 10 of Pentacles moment. 10 of Pentacles moments are about good things coming your way. It's about finally achieving that level of living where you can be comfortable, where every day is no longer a struggle. So it makes sense, Leo, that this is what you are focusing on after having come through this. Your difficult influences, you have the Emperor. Okay. This makes sense because the Emperor is all about being in the mind, right? The Emperor makes unemotional, mental type decisions. He makes all of his decisions from the mind. He doesn't tap into his heart. He doesn't tap into his emotions. He is all about intellectual. So it stands to reason that you are being given this card in your difficult influences. Because what this is telling me, remember what I said, I mean, you've got a sword after a sword after a sword card. You're caught up in your mind right now, Leo. You are over analyzing the heck out of everything right now. And it's causing you to spin your wheels, spin your heels, whatever way you want to say it. So it makes sense that you have the Emperor showing up in your difficult influences, reinforcing that that's the place where your mind is at. And instead of tapping into your emotions, instead of tapping into your heart center in order to be able to make decisions, or even for some of you, I'm getting that for some of you, it's not tapping into your heart center that you want to do. You want to tap in a little bit lower into the solar plexus. Either way, it's tapping into very much a different place from the mind. And Leo, this, if you would like to achieve this, the Magician, the existence, if you want to achieve success and prosperity by the 10 of Pentacles, you have to get out of your mind. You have to get out of this intellectual, unemotional place so that you can move forward. Okay. How are you going to do that? Take shelter, withdraw for a period of time, do that emotional work. Emotional work is about practicing some meditation. Did you have another card here saying that you might need to do this? Yes, in fact, you did. You have this Four of Winter. Remember what I said? This is the little fairy who's crept off into her little hole in her tree in order to be able to withdraw and try and figure things out. And now your card that just makes sense is reminding you to do the same thing, Leo. Fascinating, right? That cards come out that confirm the meanings of other cards. That's one of the reasons I love what I do. The view from above, get the big picture. Okay. What this card is saying is make sure you have the answers to all of your questions before you go barreling ahead. When we come from a place of intellect and we're making decisions based solely on the mind, the brain, sometimes we don't get all of the answers that we need. And then we can go barreling into something and we can come out being like a buffoon. So, Leo, before you make any big decisions right now, get the big picture. Now, I think that you had a card over here that had a similar meaning. Five of Autumn, also known as the Five of Pentacles. I'll just read what it says. Reach out to others for assistance. That card makes sense. Traveling lightly, simplify your life is the last card in your cards that just makes sense. This one, it makes perfect sense. If you're going through all of this, but you want to manifest this, what's the best way to do that? Simplify. Get out of your mind, get out of the brain, and then you can simplify. What is unexpected for you right now? Interesting. You have the King of Cups. You have the Queen of Cups. And you have the Four of Pentacles. Interesting, because you also have the Four of Swords here. You have both the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups. You have the Four of Pentacles, but there's a problem. All of them have come out upside down, also known as reversed cards. The King and Queen of Cups coming out together in the upright position would generally show the coming together or a union of some way. The fact that they both came out reversed is kind of indicating the ending of a relationship or the ending of something, Leo. Now, the good thing is that if these two cards had come out with one upright and one reversed, it would be the indication that the breakup was going to be messy because one party wanted it and one party didn't, had the cards come out this way, one upright and one reversed. But instead, they both came out reversed, indicating the ending of a relationship. Now, This may be a business relationship. And in fact, for many of you, I'm sensing that this is about the ending of a business type relationship. And it's going to be mutual, which means that there will be less strife. Will it still be uncomfortable from time to time? I think so. But when the timing is right and everything lines up, including having a king and queen come out both reversed right next to each other, both indicating the ending of a relationship, which indicates a mutual parting of ways, it's actually better for everyone else. As uncomfortable as it may seem, when the ending of a relationship is mutual, everyone can lighten their load, simplify their lives, and just let go and move on. Okay. The other card that you have here is the Four of Pentacles. It also came out in reversed. The Four of Pentacles in the upright is about hanging on to something. And in fact, in this particular deck, in the Osho Zen, it shows up as the miser. And it's about creating balance in your life. It's about budgeting properly. It's about not holding on to things and stuff and really digging deep and finding out what's important to you. But in the reversed position, it's again about you holding on too tightly to a current situation and holding on to the emotions of a relationship that's no longer serving either party. Doesn't really serve your highest good. So it makes sense that the Four of Pentacles came out in reverse with these other two cards. And the other thing that is important is when the Four of Pentacles is in reverse, it can be about timing as well. When we recognize consciously, now I'm kind of going into counselor, I'm changing my hat from psychic to counselor at this time. But Leo, when a relationship is ending, whether it's ending on mutual terms or whether it's ugly or whether, one party wants to remain and the other party wants to go, regardless of how a relationship ends, once you get on the page that the relationship is over, there is this desire to forge ahead and just cut all ties and let's be done with this. The Four of Pentacles in reverse is actually advising against that for you right now, Leo. It's saying, let things roll out in their due time. Don't try and force things. Okay. It's okay to continue to walk ahead on your path, but don't try and jump 3 steps ahead, right? Let this thing play out. If the relationship's over, it's going to be over anyway. Let it play out. Let's have a look at what you have in your general overall outcome. You have another 4. So you have the Four of Pentacles. You have the Four of Winter, also known as the Four of Swords. And now you have the Four of Summer. Four of Summer is, look at the fairy here. The fairy has something really important to be dealt with because there's a little cherub down here trying to get the fairy's attention. And instead, the fairy is staring off into space, not paying attention, doesn't have a care in the world, being completely distracted by what's probably really important. Leo, as your general overall outcome, this card is indicating that as you move through this early part of June, I'm just going to wrap things up in general. Move out of your mind. Things are changing. Things are moving quickly. So get out of your mind, get out of that intellect. But don't allow yourself to go into this place of complete and utter distraction. Why? Because the next 3 cards that you have are major arcana cards. And all 3 of these major arcana cards, including your very last card, which is the Empress, indicate really, really good, positive things coming your way. But this was the first card in your general overall outcome. If you are in the process of practicing distraction, you're going to miss all of this. The reason that we come to psychics and tarot readers, is so that we are given the heads up of the energies that are coming in so that we can adjust and change our life accordingly. You've just been given the heads up by this pretty little fairy who is staring off into space, desperately ignoring and being distracted by something more important down here. You've just been given the heads up that there is likely to be an energy around the middle of June that is going to try and distract you from manifesting all of this beauty. What do you have here for this beauty? You have the wheel. This is the wheel of fortune, indicating delays are over. The world is your oyster. You have the opportunity, especially with the ending of a relationship here. You have the opportunity to start and begin something really, really new, which would be really amazing for you. You have the number 12 card here, the Awakening card. Again, a beautiful card. Now, some people might look at this card and go, oh my goodness, that's the Hanged Man. Yes, it most certainly is. But the Hanged Man doesn't represent death, doesn't represent a hanged man, not in the literal sense. It represents changing our perspective, changing the way that we see the world so that we can move forward, taking along the lessons from the past and being able to recreate the world the way that we want it. And you have a card here of creation. And your final card is the Empress. The Empress is really, really important considering you had the Emperor in your difficult influences. The Emperor in your difficult influences, remember, was indicating that you were way too much in your mind. The Empress makes her decisions from intuition and creativity. She's also all about taking the action so that you can have the luxuries in life that you want. These kinds of luxuries, as indicated by the 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles is a happy card about finally having made it in the financial work world, getting the accolades that you want and you feel that you deserve. The Empress has a very similar meaning. The Empress goes about doing it using her intuition and her creativity, but ultimately, look at the pretty princess on here, or the Empress on here. She's all about luxury. So Leo, you too can have this as well, providing you avoid the pitfalls of the Four of Summer. You avoid the pitfalls of the Four of Pentacles by trying to rush ahead. And you take that time to see the bigger picture. Thank you so much for being here, Leo. I'm going to leave your reading off here. I think that we've gone into plenty of detail for you. If this reading resonated with you, please give me a like. And as well, I just want to point out that if this resonated with you and if you feel that this was a good reading, I am available for private sessions, private readings, and all of the details will be down below. Thank you so much.